The following text attempts to list only scientifically verifiable facts based on an article in the Wall Street Journal dated June 16, 2020. With this staging, we want to express our concern that lack of attention regarding basic precautions will result in a catastrophe that might be even worse. The guiding principle is the urgent recommendation not to do, in an uncontrolled manner, what is now allowed again, but to behave only in a way that serves the common goal or fellow humans. After all, we never do things just because they are allowed, and we don't do things just because they are forbidden. Should everyone become aware of their responsibility, there would be no need for bans and consequently no need for them to be lifted.
There's a growing consensus about a central question. How exactly do you catch COVID-19? It's not common to contract COVID-19 from a contaminated surface, scientists say. The major culprit is close-up, person-to-person interactions for extended periods, crowded events, poorly ventilated areas, and places where people are talking loudly or singing. Maximize the risk. Maximize the risk. Maximize the risk. That means better protections for nursing home residents and multi-generational families living in crowded conditions. It also means spreading physical distancing and masks, and masks, and masks, and masks, and reducing the number of gatherings in enclosed spaces. We should not be thinking of a lockdown, but of ways to increase physical distance. Reopening recommendations include widespread testing, contact tracing, and isolation of people who are infected or exposed. One important factor in transmission is that seemingly benign activities like speaking and breathing produce respiratory bits of varying sizes that can disperse along air currents and potentially infect people nearby. Respiratory droplet contact has been so far identified as the major mode of COVID-19 transmission. These large fluid droplets can transfer viruses from one person to another if they land on the eyes, nose, or mouth. But they tend to fall to the ground or on other surfaces pretty quickly. The new coronavirus can also be transmitted through aerosols, or minuscule droplets that float in the air longer than large droplets. These aerosols can be directly inhaled. Sufficient ventilation in the places people visit and work is very important. Proper ventilation dilutes the amount of virus in the space, lowering the risk of infection. Another factor is prolonged exposure. That's generally defined as 15 minutes or more of unprotected contact with someone less than 6 feet away. It could take much less time with a sneeze in the face or other intimate contact where a lot of called attack rate. The percentage of people who were infected in a specific place or time can be very high in crowded events, homes and other spaces where lots of people are in close, prolonged contact. An estimated 10% of people with COVID-19 are responsible for about 80% of transmissions. Some people with the virus may have a higher viral load, or produce more droplets when they breathe or speak, or be in a confined space with many people and bad ventilation when they are at their most infectious point in their illness. The attack rate for COVID-19 in households ranges between 4.6% and 19.3%, according to several studies. It was higher for spouses at 27.8% than for their household members at 17.3% in one study in China. Being outside is generally safer, experts say, because viral particles dilute more quickly. But small and large droplets pose a risk even outdoors when people are in close, prolonged contact. The more closely you interact with others, the longer the interaction lasts. The greater number of people involved in the interaction, the higher the risk of COVID-19 spread. The more closely you interact with others, the longer the interaction lasts. The greater number of people involved in the interaction, the higher the risk of COVID-19 spread. CDC guidelines for employers include requiring masks, limiting use of public transit and elevators to reduce exposure, and prohibiting hugs, handshakes, and fist bumps. The agency also suggested replacing communal snacks, water coolers, and coffee pots with pre-packed, single-serve items, and erecting plastic partitions between desks closer than 6 feet apart. Current CDC workplace guidelines don't talk about distribution of aerosols or small particles in a room. Aerosol transmission is a scary thing. That's an exposure that's hard to manage and it's invisible. Ensuring infected individuals stay home is important, but that can be difficult due to testing constraints. So additional protocols to interrupt the spread, like social distancing in workplaces and providing N95 respirators or other personal protective equipment, might be necessary as well. While wiping down surfaces and putting in hand sanitizer stations in workplaces is good, the bigger risks are close-range face-to-face interactions and having lots of people in an enclosed space for long periods. High-touch surfaces like doorknobs are a risk, but the virus degrades quickly, so other surfaces like cardboard boxes are less worrisome. Services and cleaning are important. The places to worry about are the break rooms, locker rooms, and security checkpoints where people interact. We'll never be more open than state guidelines, but we're often finding ourselves being more restrictive because we're following the numbers.